Tim McKernan, but we do have another Tim joining us. We have Tim Meadows. Comedian Tim Meadows, everyone. Listen to the
treat this is.
Oh, thank you. That three-man clapping fest. Good morning.
Good morning, Tim.
Good morning to you.
Thanks.
How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good. The morning after my first show here last night.
How'd it go?
It was good. Really great crowd. I was very funny.
Oh, that's good.
And they seemed to enjoy. And they enjoyed it. They clapped at the end, and I left, and everybody seemed happy.
Oh, that's awesome. The Helium Comedy Club, correct?
Yes, the Helium Comedy Club. We got 2 shows tonight and 2 shows tomorrow.
Awesome.
Yeah, and they'll be fun. I'm pretty funny. Even I'm waking up, so
Right. We hear you.
I'm usually angry in the morning, so
no.
it's not great for like morning radio, I guess.
What are you mad about?
Everything. They give me a topic.
Getting up to have to do a radio interview.
Yeah, that's the worst thing ever. Having to get up to work. I sleep. I wake up early, like naturally, except when I have to work or be somewhere.
Then it's tough.
Yeah. I just go like, why am I doing this? I hate this. And then I get up and I'm fine after that.
Yeah. You just sometimes got to get your feet on the floor. That's what sometimes we all struggle with.
Yeah. I have a music that I play when I get up, like a playlist, like on my iPhone. That's all upbeat music, you know, and that helps a lot. You know, play some Stevie Wonder or some like Sex Pistols or something like that. I'm varied. I have a very diverse musical taste in the morning.
Oh, sure. That's all about getting up. So, Tim, I want to ask you about your start into.
Oh, okay, that's all right. We can do that.
The world of comedy.
Uh-oh, is this something we're not supposed to have?
I never know. Sorry. No worries. Who is this man? No, we met earlier.
Welcome, Kennedy Strode, into the studio. Well, it wasn't on theirs.
Well, you can lean into here.
Check, 1, 2.
Yeah, I hear you.
Oh, all right.
We can share it like Mick Jagger and Keith Richards.
Well, we had to do that yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Tim, we like to do all of our audio work during the show.
Oh, right.
It makes it more natural.
Instead of preparing before.
Right, that's overrated.
This is improv radio. This is just improv radio. We do it all live. We don't mess around with retakes or restarts. We just do it live.
Great, because
So
I'm not coming back to redo anything.
I don't blame you.
I told you I'm angry in the morning.
That's right. Boy, he's just mad as a hornet.
When you go next, well, this will prepare you. When you go next door to the Rizzuto show, you'll be on a good show.
Right.
This is not very good.
Oh,
No, and we're down our.
I'll be
our
the judge.
point
I'll be the judge of that.
Right,
What
we're-
show's good?
We're down our point man, so the prepubescent is hosting the show. So
Oh,
we do the best
okay.
we can.
All right,
But we really appreciate having you in here today.
thanks.
Uh,
Okay, let's get to that question you were
Right.
asking
Yeah.
me.
Our friend interrupted us here.
Yeah.
But, you're starting to comedy. Were you always, when you grew up, people tell you like, "Hey, you're really funny. You should maybe do comedy," or was it just something that kind of came about naturally?
It just sort of came about naturally. I have a funny family. My brothers and sisters are all humorous people, and my parents were. My father was a really good storyteller, and my mother was a good laugher. You know, and after they split up, like a lot of kids, I took the job of like entertaining my mother and like trying to make her laugh and stuff, and so I people told me when I was younger that I was silly, more than I was like funny or whatever. And then but I always had an interest. I always loved comedy. I always loved comedy movies and comedians and sketches and and in fact it's really kind of cool. Just recently, like when I was in like 10th grade, I saw Blazing Saddles. I went to visit my brother at college at Eastern Michigan. And went up and saw Blazing Saddles. He was working at the theater, and I went into the theater and saw the movie probably like 5 times that weekend.
You won't see it nowadays.
But I have a copy, so I can see it anytime I want. But that was the first time that I was like, I like this, I feel comfortable, and I want to do this. I think it was the first time I was like really feeling like I want to do what Cleavon Little is doing on the screen, And then, long story short, and the reason I brought that movie up was because I just got an offer from Mel Brooks to do a TV show that he's producing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, History of the World Part 2.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
They're doing a sketch show
That's
for
incredible.
Hulu. And so, yeah, when I was flying in, my manager sent me a text, and he was like, hey, Mel Brooks just sent us an email asking if you wanted to be in this thing for...
He's got to be 100 years old at this point.
Yeah, I'm sure he's probably... Let's Google it. But he's probably in his 80s, I would
I'm on it.
imagine. But,
Oh, I thought he and Rob Reiner were close friends, and Rob Reiner just died at like 96 or something.
yeah, I think he may have been older, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mel
But-
Brooks is 95.
95.
5.
And still writing sketches and comedy
That's
and
incredible.
everything. So like when my manager called, texted, I was like, you don't even have to like negotiate this thing. Just tell him yes, I'll do whatever he wants. I love Mel Brooks. I love Mel Brooks.
incredible.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible.
When you get into
Turn his mic on.
It's on. It just sounds weird, but
Okay.
just roll with it, Doug. Come on.
Oh, sorry. I'm a stickler for detail.
Mm,
when you want to get into comedy, and I'm sorry, there's so many things between me and you that you can't see.
that's okay.
Just lean into this mic if you'd like.
But when you get into like Growlings or Second City, do you pretty much think that, okay, I'm going to make it because I'm in this group, and almost everybody out of these groups does something because this is so good?
Hmm.
Was that your case when you got in there? And you were working with, I think Farley at the time was.
Yeah, I worked with a bunch of people, but when I was in main stage at Second City, it was when I worked more with Chris Farley, David Pasquazi, and Holly Wortell, Joel Murray, all these actors that you would know if you like follow comedy. But no, when I got that job, I never thought that I was going to do anything beyond that, really. Yeah, I thought once I finished Second City, I would probably end up doing theater, like in Chicago, because there was no real, like, even though SNL occasionally came to Second City at the time to recruit people, up until then it wasn't happening a lot since, like, the original cast, really. And then Mike Myers and then Chris Farley and Bob Odenkirk were hired. And that sort of brought Saturday Night Live back to watching Second City in Chicago. But no, when I was doing improv, my friend David Pasquazi, he has this great quote, which is when we were doing improv, it was literally a road to nowhere. There was nothing other than Second City or Improv Olympic that was like your goal. So we were really doing it for the love of the art and trying to, you know, like when I was doing improv and stuff, it was the beginning of doing long form improv. So that was like my sort of training and the thing that I was part of improv in the early parts of developing heralds and long form improv, you know. And that doesn't lead to movies, you know, it doesn't. It leads to more improv, basically.
So how did you get spotted by SNL, and what was that process like to get that gig?
Well, I was working at Second City on the main stage. I had done 3 reviews with Farley and the cast of people. And they came to see Farley, basically. Laura Michaels and producers, Jim Downey, and they came to see Farley because he had a reputation in Chicago. Everybody knew who he was.
Yeah, you could just look at him and start laughing.
Yeah, I mean, he honestly was the funniest person I ever knew. Seriously, like funny, just really good, you know. And so the reason they spotted me was because Chris and I improvised scenes a lot because he was one of my best friend. And so if he had an idea for an improv scene, you know, he would tell me and we would talk about it and then we would go out and improvise it. And so during that period, I was almost in every scene that Chris did. So when Second City SNL came to see him, they couldn't help but go, "Who's the black guy on stage with the fat dude?" And that was basically it. And I, you know, as I got to do my interviews and stuff with SNL, and they talked to me about what my contributions were to the Second City show, they realized that I was a decent writer and I had good ideas. And so when I got hired by SNL, it was really as a writer in the beginning, and then there was some confusion, and they were like, "Oh no, Lauren said he's a featured player," and they were like, "Okay, well, we'll get his picture and let's go on the subway and film his opening and that kind of stuff."
That's a big moment in a person's life, I'm sure.
Yeah,
I mean, that's when you made it, right there.
that was I mean, and literally before I went to excuse me.
Oh, that's
Good.
all right.
Good.
Before I went to Saturday Night Live, I probably had $5,000 saved.
It's a lot.
Well, for a 28-year-old, I don't know if that's a lot of money. But
That's about what I got.
oh, good. But when I went to SNL, like my first check was as big as my life savings at the time. You know, like my first pay. So it changed a lot. It changed a lot.
Did you and we all know the Ladies Man.
Yes.
If you look at Saturday Night Live with some of the characters that became big and they actually did movies, it took a while for them to give you your own character. You did a lot of sketches and you were in a lot of sketches, but before Ladies Man, there really wasn't a Tim Meadows character.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't. I did. I think I was doing Perspectives before Ladies Man, which is a TV show that happens at 4 a.m. Because of FCC guidelines. They have to do like local ethnic programming, and so they would always put it early in the morning. And that was an idea from Al Franken and Dave Mandel. So I was doing that first, but Ladies Man, not to, but they didn't give it to me as much as I made it, So Ladies Man was a crank call voice that I used to do to make my girlfriend laugh. And then I told some of the writers about this phone call that I made to a radio station. And they were asking, how did you get away with it? And I said, I do this voice. It's like, this is Leon Phelps. And at the time, the character, I used to call him Rudiger, was his name. Yeah, this is Rudiger Jones. I just call in to order a pizza, if that's okay. Extra pepperoni, please. And so when the person would show up at the house with the pizza, they would see me instead of seeing that voice and that character. So it was really fun to do that. And then I told the writers about it, Harper Steele and Dennis McNicholas. And then they came up with the idea of the call-in radio show. And they were like, he's going to give love advice, but it's all bad love advice. It's the advice as if, a pimp from the 70s had his own radio call-in show. And we just went with that. We would improvise questions and answers, and it was a blast.
That's awesome. So you talked about improv. You had a guest role in Curb Your Enthusiasm. Was it a show like that that's almost all improv, just natural feeling for you to get into that? What was it like to be on the set of that and do that?
It was fun, yeah. And it that's all improvised. Even though you do know the beats, like I know I'm supposed to, I'm supposed to argue. Larry's gonna say, I want you to apologize. Can you apologize for me to your wife? And I'm supposed to say, no, go do it yourself. And that's basically what's on the paper.
Right.
And then if you improvise it, so we're in the bathroom, and he's like, hey, hi, how's it going? Hey, your wife is deaf. He goes, maybe I insulted her dog because I called it a rat. I thought it was a rat.
Right, the rat dog.
Yeah. So can you go and apologize? And I'm like, no. You go apologize. You said it. And so that was basically the scene. And then while we were improvising that, he came up with these other things because I said to him, and I don't think it was on the final product. Okay. I said, do you have a problem? Like, it seems like you always have to apologize to handicapped people. And then he started riffing on the different types of handicapped people he's offended before. And it was like, it was so funny. And so we're doing it, improvising. I don't know what he's going to say,
right, exactly.
So I'm trying not to laugh. I'm trying to stay in the moment and stuff. Sure. But, it's a fun show to do because you really do have a lot of room to be funny. And if you go too far as like plot or story, they'll reel you back. They'll say like, oh, don't say that because we want to reveal something later.
Sure.
But it's a great show to do.
Probably a lot of pressure in that too, isn't there? To be good and be on every minute and never skip a beat, never daydream for 2 seconds.
Yeah, but I mean, that's what I trained for. You know what I mean? So like, I don't get nervous about having to improvise or make something up, because I kind of feel like naturally something funny will happen, if I just trust myself and trust the other person. Not like this Not like this radio show this morning. I trust all of you, but I feel like I'm not doing my share of bringing the comedy.
Well, it's because we're asking dumb questions and we're not getting into
Well, that's our brand.
Now,
No,
comedy will
the
happen.
dumb questions is your brand.
Comedy will happen.
Yeah,
This
that's
week.
the-
We're going to be at the not Lumiere, God. Helium Comedy Club right in the Galleria.
Which is a really nice mall.
Yeah, it is.
It's the nicest mall that I've had seen a comedy club at. I want to go shopping in between shows.
But you got 2 shows tonight and tomorrow, right? 7:30 and 10?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. And it's going to be packed. I saw where there's not a lot of tickets left. So
That's good.
if you want to get tickets, you better get them today or tomorrow because they're almost gone.
Yeah.
I was going to, God, I forgot what I was going to ask. When, out of the 10 years you were there, and at the time was the longest tenure of a SNL staff member, was there somebody that when you found out it was either going to be a guest host or a musical act that you said, oh my God, I can't believe I finally get to meet this person? You're actually excited about meeting that person?
Yeah. I mean, in the first year, it was basically everybody that came through the host. Because I didn't, I had not met a lot of celebrities and stuff. Kevin Bacon was my first show. So that was a lot of fun. And I had seen Kevin Bacon forever, Animal House and everything. So it was pretty exciting. And at the end of the show, we were shaking hands, and he knew that it was my first show. And he was really nice to me that a whole week. And then we were shaking hands again nights, and he goes, Tim, come here. I go, hey, Kevin, thank you so much. He goes, hey, I just want to tell you, I'm so happy I was your first. I was like, oh, thanks, man. Thank you.
A lot of nerves on that first show or any other show.
I was so nervous. The most nervous I ever was on SNL was the Steve Martin musical opening. We're not going to call it in tonight. It was, we're not going to call it in tonight. It was like this coming on and saying we're going to really give a good show this week. And I just had to say, my lyric was, I don't have any lines. I'm not in the show. But if you want me to, Steve, I'll go, go, go. And I had never sang on television before. And it dawned on me while they were going 5, 4. I was like, wait, I've never sang on television.
Too late at that
It's
point.
too late, yeah.
Absolutely.
And if you ever see it, audience, that is the most nervous. You can see it in my eyes. I'm just like, my eyes are darting around, and I'm just like, my fists are clenched, It's like, oh, my God. And Steve Martin, that was another, to answer your other question, that was like one of the people that I loved before I got to SNL. So meeting him, Bill Murray, people like that, all the original cast members, was amazing. Paul McCartney and Linda McCartney was probably like the most my heart beat. It's somebody shaking my hand. And I had great moments with them because I used to write the promos for the show, those little like 10-second ads they would put up where the host and musical guests are saying something funny. And I wrote, it was my job then to sort of write them, gather them from the other writers, and then present them to the host and the musical guests. And you go, these are the ads for this week. And they read through them and they go, I like that, I don't like that, I don't like that. And so Paul McCartney, he goes through, he reads them all, he sets aside, to the side 3 of them, and he throws the other ones away. And he goes, I'll do these. And I looked, and I was like, wow. And he goes, what? And I go, I wrote all 3 of these. And he goes, good, well done, young man. And so, yeah, I was like, as soon as that was over, I called my sister, my older sister, Lily, who was a huge Beatle fan. And I just told her, Paul McCartney just said I was an amazing writer.
That's got to be the coolest.
It was amazing, yeah.
That's incredible. Now, you worked with Judd Apatow on Trainwreck, and that's similar to Curb, where Judd lets you go forever, however it takes you want. Is working like that, just having that leeway, just kind of your comfort zone, just being able to kind of try different things out, and if it sticks, it's great. If not, let's do it again.
I would say it's in between my comfort zone. I always feel better and more comfortable when it's written and I know it, and when we run it and we do it the way it's written, and then we take steps to make it fresh or improvise or whatever.
Right.
And that's how it is with Judd. Whereas with Curb is just straight improv.
Right. It's no lines.
Yeah, there's no lines,
Right.
and so. And so Judd was different. And with Judd, I did a couple things. I did Trainwreck, and I did this movie called Walk Hard.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
John C. Reilly.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite films to do. We had so much fun in that movie. But Judd, what they would do is they would yell lines to you while you're acting. And so you're just talking, doing a scene like, and then somebody would go, tell him you hate him. And you go, I hate you, and so that's how he will. And so it was really funny because at a certain point, I think I even said to them, like, stop yelling at me. I got this. Don't worry about it.
Right.
What do you still want to do? Or maybe you don't have to do anything now that you said you saved $5,000.
Yeah, I got my 5,000.
Yeah, you'll be good.
I'm good. Who can't live on $5,000?
Move to St. Louis.
Oh, you'd be good then.
Yeah.
But is there something else you still want to do, have always wanted to do, and haven't gotten a chance?
Not really. I mean, I don't know. I feel like, doing stand-up was something that I wanted to do. I mean, I think there are people that I would love to work with, or directors that I would love to be in their films and stuff, like, Paul Thomas Anderson, or somebody like that. I have this thing, like, I want to work with Tom Cruise.
Oh, wow.
Even though I have no reason to, like, ever work with Tom Cruise.
That'd be wild.
Top Gun. You could have been a pilot.
But, like, whenever I'm talking to my managers, I always tell them, like, I need a Tom Cruise movie. Get me in a I need to be in Mission Impossible or something. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't have a desire to direct or anything. I love writing. I actually wrote some sketches for Amy Schumer. Has a new show starting for Hulu later this year. And she called and asked me if I wanted to write, sketches for that. And I was like, I don't know. And she was like, no, it'll be fun. We'll just, have fun. And so I did. And it was a blast. So I think my comfort zone and things I really like to do, I really love writing comedy. I love writing sketches.
Right.
I love watching other people perform sketches that I've written. And I think even like in my time at SNL, when I look back, those are the moments that I sort of am more proud of, because people don't know that it was mine.
Right.
Because I'm not in it.
Right.
Is that hard for a comedian to write something really good and not be able to deliver it?
And probably for some people, if you have an ego and everything, but I just got a real satisfaction from watching other comedians and actors perform things that I had written. It's a joy. Yeah, it's a joy.
Yeah, sometimes somebody says something on SNL and the whole country's saying that for years down the road.
Yeah.
And if that was your line and someone else gets credit for it, I could say, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Me.
I used to take credit for the it's a trope in comedy and writing, and I always feel that, like, I made it popular, which is whenever you see a character or somebody on TV show go, like, somebody will say something ridiculous to someone, and they'll go, yeah, wait, what? I did that at SNL, like, in one of my first sketches, and I remember it because Matt Piedmont, another writer on the show, kept telling me that was the funniest thing I've ever heard. Right. And I go, it's not a joke, it's just a reaction to, and because when I was on SNL, a lot of my thing was I would be in sketches with characters, and so they would say something ridiculous, and my reaction had to be sort of representative of what the audience would.
Yeah, 100%.
And so I wrote a sketch where someone was saying something ridiculous to me, and that was the joke, was that I had to process it, and then I was like, wait, what? And so now whenever I see that I see it all the time in TV shows and sketches on sitcoms and stuff, and I used to say to my kids that I wrote that. That's my friggin' joke.
I did have to ask before, Dewey Cox story is, to me, one of my favorite, not only comedy, but one of the best parodies. Mm-hmm. Do you have, like, your first reaction when, your agent sent you the script? Mm-hmm. Or how did that go, and what was your initial reaction? Because the movie itself, when you watch it, just ridiculously funny with just a lot of random. Mm-hmm. I just didn't know if you could give me a story about when you first read it.
Well, when I first read the script, I read the part that they, had from me.
Yeah.
And when I read the, if you know the movie or not, my character always introduces drugs in the next decade to Dewey Cox. Mm-hmm. And he does it by saying, you don't want any part of this, You don't want to mess with this weed. I'm telling you, Dewey, it's not good for you. And he goes, I want to try it. Okay, come on, let's do it. And then it elevates over the decades in the movie. But when I read that run and the other run when I read that run of scenes, I said, I'm definitely going to kill doing this.
So good.
Yeah, thank you. And then the other thing in that movie that I'm proud of that I improvised was you never once paid for drugs.
Not once.
Not once. It was originally written that we were like telling Dewey what we hated about him and whatever in our history. And each time the camera was going to pan to me and Parnell and Matt Besser as we said our lines. And my first joke was, you never paid for drugs, which is the thing that I was angry at him about. And then they panned to Chris, he had a thing. And then they panned to Besser, he has a thing. And I knew the camera was going to come back to me again because they just go back down. And I just said, I thought it'll be funny if I said the same thing again. And so, my whole problem's like, you never paid for drugs, not once. And I could hear Apatow laughing off camera when they came back to me. The third time, they knew what was going to happen, because they knew I was going to say it again. But that's one of my proud improv moments.
It's great.
We'd be remiss because we got to get you next door here pretty soon.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know Will Smith very well. I'm sure you know Chris very well.
Mm-hmm.
And that whole thing at the awards. I mean, is it to the point now where you guys get up on stage and say, "Look, I got this in my act, but man, am I going to get in trouble for this?" I mean, do you have to put that in the back of your mind? It seems like anything a comedian does now, they're going to find something to cancel you with. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I mean, I can't worry about it. You know what I mean? Then I'd be stopping myself from, saying things that I want to say or defending myself or making fun of people who I think may deserve it. You know what I mean? I don't worry about that stuff. I don't worry about getting attacked or being canceled. I wish they'd cancel me. Please cancel me. I'm tired.
Take a couple days off.
Yeah, let me give you some reasons to cancel me. First of all, I don't like kids.
There it is. There's the act.
Yeah.
Some things that cancel me.
Here, cancel me. But no, I try not to worry about it, and if it happens, it'll happen, and I'll apologize, and I'll go into rehab, and I'll do all the things you have to do when you get canceled.
And last thing before you have to get out of here, and if they did cancel, you'd be immortalized for this moment. And this isn't much of a question. This is just I have to sing praises because 10-year-old Jackson would be very upset if I didn't say this to you.
Okay.
You were in the film SemiPro, which I probably saw 1,000 times growing up. Me and my buddy's favorite movies. We'd watch it almost every Friday night.
Wow.
And you have...
Huge party guy over here, by the way.
Right, yeah. You have a role, and you're in just the one scene, but it is one of the greatest scenes in the whole movie. I mean, you're with Will Ferrell, Will Arnett, Andrew Daly, Andy Richter.
Yeah.
And... just the whole scene is so great because, I mean, Will Ferrell, I've heard, is just incredible to work with and just makes everybody laugh around him. But the way that you, and for people who haven't seen the scene, Will Arnett fires a gun, or I think actually Ferrell accidentally fires the gun, and the bullet goes ricocheting around the room.
Yeah.
Everyone okay? Everyone okay? And then you're in the cast, and the arm starts to bleed, and the way you deadpan deliver... oh man, I did get shot. I mean, every time me and my buddies would replay that moment because it's that whole scene with the drive turkey thing is just
Thank you.
It is incredible stuff.
Thanks.
Like I said, 10-year-old Jackson would be upset if I didn't tell you that.
Well, I appreciate that. And that's another one of those times where you just like you're sitting around with a bunch of people doing a movie and you're getting paid, and you're going like, I can't believe that this is what we get to do.
Right.
Like and Will was very apologetic that I had to wear a cast, because he was like, I'm sorry, man. I was like, no, it's all good. Right. But that movie, that was another scene where I read the script. Like they called me about it because they added that scene to the movie.
I was gonna say, was there more to that because your character wasn't really in the beginning part of it, and then it's just
no, they just added because they wanted to have one set piece that was a bigger comedic piece.
Yeah, which is a great point. Yeah,
and that was the thing too. Like when I read that. The jive turkey, that like I call Will Arnett a jive turkey, and then he goes, "What? What did you just say?"
And Will Arnett is throwing 100 miles per hour in that scene
yes,
too.
And
the nom thing.
One of my other proud moments was making him laugh during that scene.
Oh, yeah,
because when he pointed the gun at me, I didn't look. I wasn't afraid,
Right,
and it
right.
made them laugh because I was like, "Oh no, I get guns pointed at me all the time." I think that was the line I said.
Yeah. Cornelius is the name of your character.
Yes,
Yeah,
God, you know this movie,
I
dude.
told you 1,000 times.
That's so great.
Well, hey, buddy, thanks for coming in, Tim Meadows.
Yes.
You can see him this weekend out at the Helium Comedy Club tonight, tomorrow, 7:30 and 10. Tickets, not a lot available, so go get them now. Buddy, great work.
Thank you.
Love everything you do, and have fun this weekend.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks for coming
Tim.
in.
All right.
Thanks. That's going to close our appliance discount.